Okay, take just a second and picture a city in your mind. You're probably imagining towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, a complex web of traffic, and, clearly divided neighborhoods. It's the standard formula. But in this explainer, we're going to challenge that very definition. We are going on a journey to explore human settlements that completely defy the norm.
Right now, there are over 4 million towns and cities scattered across our globe. To put that massive number into perspective, there are about 19,500 in the US alone, and over 4,000 in India.
Now, for the vast majority of these settlements, the day-to-day experience is pretty much identical, right? You've got traffic, standard laws, traditional homes, and typical economies. But a rare few have absolutely rewritten the rules of urban living. We're talking about entirely underground communities, societies that literally operate without cash, whole towns packed into a single building, and cities thriving in the most extreme environments imaginable. By the end of this, I want you to completely rethink what it actually means to live in a city.
So, to make sense of these anomalies, we'll look at 4 things today: cities defying geography, societies with unique rules, extreme environments and bizarre settlements, and finally, what exactly is a city?
Let's dive right into Part 1, Cities Defying Geography. What happens when human adaptability completely ignores standard environmental limitations? Well, take Coober Pedy down in Australia. Decades ago, this area was a massive hub for opal mining. But as the mines eventually emptied out, the town faced a tough choice: abandon the area entirely or adapt. In a pretty wild twist, residents actually moved directly into the empty underground shafts to escape the scorching summers and freezing winters. Below ground, the temperature is perfectly regulated. Today, it's this thriving luxury underground city, complete with cinemas, grocery stores, and hotels. And it gets better. Because surface traffic used to be a total nightmare, the mayor pushed to make it a pedestrian haven. Tourists actually park outside the city limits, leaving this subterranean marvel practically pollution-free.
Then, thousands of miles away in the freezing landscape of North America sits Whittier, Alaska. This place is so isolated, it's only accessible by a single one-lane tunnel. To survive the brutal Alaskan winters without braving the elements or laying miles of freezing pipes for individual houses, the town got creative. All 250 residents live inside one massive Cold War-era structure built back in 1974 called baggage towers. Everything they need is packed inside to consolidate heating and utilities. It is literally one building holding an entire town. No way around it. That is just incredible.
And standard building materials aren't always a requirement. Over in China, millions of people still live in yadong, which are natural caves or earth shelters. I know, living in a cave sounds kind of prehistoric, but many of these are incredibly luxurious, outfitted with modern appliances like refrigerators and flat-screen TVs. Some have even been converted into high-end resorts. Actually, scratch the poured concrete and steel idea. This just goes to show there are completely different ways to build a comfortable home.
So, we've seen how humans physically adapt to their environments. But what if we change the social fabric itself? Can a city successfully run without laws, money, or even certain genders?
That brings us to Section 2, Societies with Unique Rules.
Let's look at settlements that have completely rewritten standard social norms. In Tamil Nadu, India, a city called Auroville was founded in 1968 by Mira Alfasa with a totally radical vision, a place with absolutely no religion and no politics. People gather to meditate at this central architectural structure, but with zero religious affiliation. It operates as a completely cashless society where nobody owns private property. The whole shebang belongs to the community assembly. Residents just work for the community, doing what they love, and they boast a zero crime rate. Locals call it a human experiment in equality. And it's been so successful at fostering human unity that UNESCO has actually recognized the city 4 separate times.
Freedom from atrocities on women. That incredibly powerful motivation was the driving force behind Umoja, a village in Kenya. Historically, local women faced severe oppression. They couldn't own land, they had no rights, and they suffered immense abuse. Fed up with a deeply patriarchal system, a group of women left and founded Umoja, a thriving society where men are strictly not allowed. Despite facing some really severe early hardships, these women persevered. Today, they sustain themselves entirely through agriculture, animal husbandry, and selling traditional jewelry all over the world.
Now, these unique rules can take incredibly varied forms. Take the villages in Florida, USA, for example. It's a massive city designed exclusively for retirees.
Because of this highly specific demographic, it enjoys a practically zero crime rate, serving as a completely peaceful haven. On the flip side of that, you have Spielplatz in Britain. Founded way back in 1929, the residents here lead fully modern lives, but with one major catch. They simply choose to live entirely without clothes to maintain a closer connection with nature. Two totally different approaches, but both functioning perfectly for the people who live there.
Okay, so we've seen extreme geography and some pretty radical social rules. But what happens when human settlements are forced into the most hazardous or unusual circumstances on Earth?
Which leads us to Section 3, Extreme Environments and Bizarre Settlements.
Long before recent global events made wearing masks commonplace, Miyake-jima, Japan was already known as the Mask City. In the year 2000, a nearby volcano erupted, leaking lethal poisonous gas and forcing the government to completely evacuate the area. Residents did eventually return, but because the threat of volcanic gas is unpredictable and ever-present, carrying and wearing a gas mask whenever you step outdoors remains absolutely mandatory.
Then there are cities built entirely around but the rest of us just throw away. In Manshiat Nasser, Egypt, which is appropriately dubbed Garbage City, every available surface, from the roads to the rooftops and the balconies, is piled high with mountains of trash. And this isn't just local waste either. Trash is brought in from all across Cairo specifically for recycling. The entire infrastructure, the economy, and the daily life of this city revolve completely around sorting and processing this endless influx of garbage.
And sometimes, bizarre settlements are born from sheer imitation. We know China is a manufacturing powerhouse, but they don't just copy products, they replicate entire towns. Thamestown, for example, is a meticulous copy-paste of a traditional English town, right down to the architectural styles, the cobblestone streets, and even an artificial river they actually named the Thames to complete the illusion. Another city features a scaled replica of the Eiffel Tower, perfectly imitating the streets of Paris. It's a truly surreal experience where a city's environment is quite literally cloned from the other side of the planet.
Wrapping things up with Section 4. What exactly is a city?
After traveling through underground luxury mines, freezing single-building towns, cashless utopias, women-only villages, and replica European streets in Asia, I think it's clear a city isn't just defined by skyscrapers or traffic. It's defined by human adaptability. It's a reflection of exactly what a specific group needs to survive and thrive. So what would your ideal city look like? If you could take the pollution-free living of Coober Pedy, the peace of the villages, or the equality of Oroville, how would you design your perfect settlement? Keep exploring that thought, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.